I finally get to use this microphone that I bought for another project that I wanted to. Hopefully it will work. So I wanted to do this video without any narration, without anything, but I decided that maybe it's a good thing that I kind of document the journey, even by, telling you guys about it, telling me, just so I can keep some reminders of it. This project started with a TikTok video that my friend sent me, and she suggested that I should pick a new hobby so I could make her this stained glass IKEA greenhouse. And it sounded like a fun challenge, and it wasn't on my hobby list yet. So I figured, why not give it a shot? Hopped online and I started with some research, and I found this blog that actually offers a template for free, which I'll link down below. It's a template, you just print it out and then draw it on. And then I made my two favorite trips, which one was IKEA and one was art store, to gather all the supplies. The IKEA was pretty straightforward, just buy the greenhouse, while at the art store I had a bit of a trouble. I did a lot of research on what kind of colors to use for this kind of effect. A lot of people actually suggested using acrylics, but they were too opaque for this project. So I did more research, and I found some glass paints that would fit the project needs. So I finally settled on just buying some of the colors that I needed, and just some clear varnish, I think, to get the perfect stained glass effect. And before diving into the main project, I decided to test all the paints on an old glass jar that I had at home. And let me tell you, this was a pretty good idea. My first mistake was I bought a silver marker, so I bought a silver acrylic marker instead of a black one. So I couldn't start working on the leading lines. It was a bit of a setback, but I still started swatching colors, mixing them in, and experimenting with different thinning solutions to see what worked the best and what could give me a desired effect. And after that, I have decided I'm not going to make another trip to the art store, because trips to the art store are quite expensive, in my case, because I buy a lot of unnecessary stuff. And I decided I'm going to cut them out with my Cameo machine, using black vinyl. And that sounded great in theory, right? The problem was I had only the PDFs that I could print out, and I had to get the cut lines so my silhouette could actually cut them. So I started on my iPad. I started redrawing everything to create an SVG file that was meant for cutting. And after spending 2 or 3 hours on that, I discovered that Silhouette Studio could actually trace my PDF and make the cut lines pretty well. I still had to do minor adjustments, like making the offset a little bit bigger so the lines really did come through a little bit thicker, but it did cut my work more than a half. I started doing a test cut on some spare vinyl just to see how it would turn out, and thankfully I did it on a spare vinyl, because I forgot to measure the greenhouse. I was so excited, I just clicked send to Silhouette. So it came out a little bit too big, but round 2 with black vinyl with measurements went perfectly. The first panel looked amazing, clean lines, and I was so thrilled, but then reality hit. I had to do 10 more panels, and I ran out of black vinyl, so I had to order more. So that did put my project a bit on hold so I could gather the supplies, but after that I kept working on the outlines. Once all the lines were on the greenhouse, it looked so good. Really, it looked beautiful. I almost didn't want to color it in. That's a big problem that I have with finishing projects, because once I get to the point where something looks good, I don't want to finish it because I'm afraid I will ruin it. But I had to push through because it was a gift, you know. It was an intended gift to get it with the colored stained glass effect. That was kind of the whole point of the project. So I started coloring in. I used glass paints mixed with a little bit of thinning solution just so it could be a little bit more see-through than the original paints were. So I started with the leaves. I got bored very quickly, but I pushed through. Then I painted pink flowers and blue accents, and I also used a pearl color for the glass accents. That took a while because there are a lot of panels that you have to color in. I had to do some of them twice because apparently I'm not very good at coloring in. So when everything was done, I added a clear coat to get that true glass effect. I applied it very generously to get the texture that I wanted. That kind of see-through but not totally see-through effect. And I think it's turned out great. After that, I decided not to assemble the glass house myself. There were two reasons. The first one is I wanted to give a gift. Didn't want her to just see right away what I'm giving her. And another reason was it was much easier to just wrap it in the original packaging. So yeah, I packaged it up so my friend could assemble it by herself, and I wrapped it in Christmas paper in August. That's what I had at home, but she was thrilled about it. I have yet to see the thing assembled, but my project was done when I delivered it to her. So I'm very excited that I managed to finish a project. But I will hopefully I will put the picture once I get it from her, when it's all nice and assembled. She's just moving houses, so I assume it's going to be built in the new house. Thank you for joining me on this project. I hope to see you soon, and until then, stay curious.